Yeah, I'm trying to find my screen. I got it.
All right. All right. For our administrators at home, we're just trying to work out the audio issue. Are you now hearing me when I'm speaking? Send a text to Melissa.
Dan says he can hear you. I mean, he's on here, but yeah, she said yes.
Okay, so we'll unmute. If
Okay, now we're back.
Okay.
Good.
Y'all see that? Okay, we good? Okay, so I'm just gonna give a project update today with the capital project and a few of the other projects we're working on with the district. So the building conditions survey, as I'm sure you guys remember, this is a state ed requirement that the district has to complete every 5 years. It evaluates and rates all the different aspects of the buildings and the sites. Us engineers come out to all the buildings throughout the summer and evaluate them. This provides projected replacement and renovation costs for future projects. So we just submitted the report to Charlie and he uploaded to state ed in February before the deadline. So right now, Young and Wright internally, we're working on the final BCS reviews for each building, and we anticipate turning over all the BCS data and iPads over to the district for future capital project planning by later on this spring. And then one of the other projects we're working on right now is the capital outlay project, which is a yearly $100,000 project fully funded by state ed. So this year's project is a water heater replacement over at the middle school, along with some associated plumbing work. We're opening bids this Thursday on the 18th. Construction will take place April through May, and then we'll be closing out with the contractor and Dan with state ed in June. And then we're working with John Wilson and the rest of the admin team to figure out what we're doing for the capital outlay project for 2021. So that'll be upcoming in the next few months. Moving on to the capital project phase 2 at the middle school. The auditorium, electrical and theatrical work is still ongoing. Contractors are working on their punch list items throughout the various spaces in the building. And then upcoming this spring and summer 2021, we'll be working in the gym. The wood floor will be replaced. The bleachers will be replaced, the basketball backstops, and the divider curtain. And then the gym rooftop air handling units, those will also be replaced, and air conditioning will be added to the space, and the pool covers will be installed. The auditorium, this is just an updated photo. I think you guys have seen this before, but some of the lighting is rather new. Some of the lighting is new since you've probably seen it last. And then over at the high school, over here at the high school, we're working on the addition. This work's going to be ongoing through this spring. The district will be moving in later this spring and throughout the summer. We've been coordinating and meeting with various groups to talk about furniture and graphics, meeting with different vendors for the addition that'll be installed this spring before full occupancy. And as soon as school is out this spring, you'll see site work happening over here on the west side of the building. And the stairs and ramp will be leading up to the track. That'll be completed this spring also. The addition will be ready for student occupancy in this fall. And starting this fall, the athletic drop-off and pickup will be at that entrance. So it won't be directed over here to the east side. It'll be at this new addition. Just some photos of the up-to-date addition. So it's just the front view. They just recently installed the glass at the entryway there. The athletic lobby, I'm not sure if you guys have been out there recently, but they just installed the signage. It's similar to the signage out front at the high school lobby out here. That'll be backlit. We're working on getting furniture for the center of the lobby here. Just another view looking towards the concession space and down towards the locker rooms. This is the athletic office and also the secure entrance off of the main entry there where Nancy will be sitting and letting people into the building. And this is the trainer's office. Some of the millwork's been installed. We're waiting on a few other pieces. And then the concession space off the lobby, it's getting all the new stainless steel countertops. This is a nice space because you can use it for outdoor events like soccer and football, and you can also use it for indoor events like basketball. So it'll be used all throughout the year, I'm sure by other groups too outside of sports. And then the locker room. So this is the boys squad locker room, all the wall tiles up, the decorative mosaic flooring. We're just waiting on lockers and some of the other plumbing fixtures. We're also working with the graphics vendor to put some graphics on these walls. We just met with them last week. And this is the girls' squad locker room. Same scope here. And the wood shop. So this is the new wood shop in the addition. So mechanical, electrical, plumbing, they're kind of finishing up some finishing touches in here. And then soon we'll be moving in the district's technology wood shop furniture equipment. This is one of those teaching stations. This is where all the wood butcher block countertops will be going with the lockers underneath for the student desks. You see the desk collection, hoses and everything along that far wall. Second floor, you see all the mechanicals that go in above the ceiling, all the ductwork, plumbing, electrical. So all those ceiling tiles hide all that above. Second floor, general classroom. I believe this might be a math classroom, but it's kind of just a general space at this point. We'll be putting tables in here. There will be a TV on that far green wall. The second floor fab lab. This will be used by the technology department. This will have combo drafting tables with computer screens also for CAD type classes. And then also on the second floor is the weight room. We just had G&G Fitness install all of the weight mats on the floor here, along with the turf strip for when they're using the sleds to push and pull. This is a pretty cool space. Daryl, the athletic director, is working on getting the fitness center equipment for this space. Second floor wrestling room. We're also working on getting wall pads and the wrestling mats for this space. Metal shop. So this used to be two small tech classrooms. We merged it into one nice metal shop. We have welding equipment in here and obviously the cord and air compression reels hanging from the ceiling. They've been using this space this semester. Moving on to phase 3. So we awarded bids for this phase in January. Work started over February break with abatement and demo, and it will continue through September of next year. Site work will start over on the west end of the building and along the front bus loop once school is out this year. And then interior renovations at the high school includes the art department, science, life skills, music, and the auditorium. We're working on getting finalizing finishes for all these spaces this month. Marker and tack boards will be replaced throughout the building. over the next couple of years. The fire alarm system will be replaced, and then various finishes will be upgraded with carpet will be removed, replaced with more resilient flooring. The air conditioning will be added to the gym, along with other various mechanical, electrical, plumbing upgrades throughout the building. It's just a photo of the science after it was abated up on the second floor. So in this first phase, there's 2 science classrooms and 4 art classrooms that are being renovated. It's the art showing the merging of 4 classrooms into one large kind of art suite. Some metal studs going up in science. Just showing that connection in the art rooms there. This will be the digital art classroom. Also in phase 3, the district decided to have exterior LED displays installed. So we're purchasing these off of state contract through sports. These are going to be installed in August. There'll be one at the high school along Beach Road and one out in front of the middle school. So these will be installed in August of this year. And then JTWA is also in phase 3. Work will be taking place there over the next 2 summers. And that work includes the creation of a secure entrance and main office renovations. In the gym, we're refinishing the wood floor, replacing wall pads and the basketball backstops, and replacing the air handling units on the roof. We're replacing various floors and ceilings, providing air conditioning to the second floor classrooms, and improving ventilation throughout various spaces that don't currently have ventilation. Phase 4 is currently the last phase in this capital project. We have scope at AJ Schmidt, Highland, and Hoig. At all these buildings, we have parking lot and sidewalk replacements, along with improved drainage, providing ramp at the loading dock for deliveries at that entrance, replacing playground equipment, creating a secure entry at the main front entry, renovating the main office and nurse's office, or at Hoig, the central registrar's office. And then we're also providing an ADA compliant restroom in the main office suite area. We're replacing exterior doors that are beyond their useful life, replacing classroom carpeting with resilient flooring because some of the carpeting is in pretty bad shape. And then we're improving ventilation in some spaces too, along with MEP upgrades throughout the buildings. And then each of the buildings kind of has some of their own scope. So at AJ Schmidt, this building is pretty much busting at the seams these days. We're reconfiguring the existing locker rooms that are currently underutilized. We're making usable teaching and office space out of that former locker room space. We're refinishing the gym and wood stage floors at that building and restriping the floor and replacing those gym wall pads and backstops. Same thing at Highland with the gym scope. And then at Highland, we're also replacing the flat gym and cafeteria roof and replacing gutters and downspouts. And then at Hoig, we're providing air conditioning to the offices because that's where a lot of the district offices are. They're obviously there all summer long, so we're providing them with air conditioning and then replacing some gutters and downspouts at that building also. The schedule for phase 4, so campus, the construction manager, they're working on our design development estimate that's going to be presented at next month's OACM meeting. So us and the engineers are working right now on our construction documents. We're submitting to state ed in early April. Right now, state ed review times are about 14 to 16 weeks. So depending when state ed gives us their approval, the schedule right now is we'll be opening bids for this phase in September, awarding contracts in October, starting construction in November, and then construction will continue over the next year into November 2020. And because we've had good phases all along, we've had savings in these first couple phases, and with current bidding projections, we're estimating that there'll be about $4 million left at the end of phase 4. So our team, us and campus and the district, been working with the district's financial advisors to determine which buildings can have scope in phase 5 based on the state's building aid and the maximum cost allowance at each building from the various phases. So us and campus and the district be working on determining what type of scope we have, but we kind of want to do scope that's easily designed, get quick approval from state ed, particularly roofs that have expired warranties throughout the district. So once we submit phase 4 to state ed in April, we'll be sitting down with the district and campus to determine the scope and schedule for this upcoming work. Any questions?
The plan for phase 4 going to be?
That was something I was going to talk with this team about at the next OACM, because at this point we might end up possibly doing that, but that's something we just talked about internally this week, but that's a possibility I want to talk to Dan and the team about.
Okay.
I don't really have so much of the question as like this, all This is really impressive to see the way everything is laid out, future, current, everything. You guys are doing a phenomenal job despite everything that's going on.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you and your team and everybody involved on very, very job well done.
Thank you.
Well said.
So Jill, can I ask you a question? When you were talking, you had your mic off, you had your mic on. You were
Yes.
unmuted, right? Okay,
I'm
so when
unmuted,
you're
yes.
going to speak, unmute, and I think it'll be okay.
I think you are not muted right now. Thank you, Jill. That
Thank
really,
you.
all very impressive.
Who's not muted?
You.
My computer's muted.
All right, well, so may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? New business, may I have a motion to adopt the 2021 instructional calendar? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the legal notice for the annual school budget meeting, public hearing on May 4th, 2021, and the annual school budget referendum and election on May 18th, 2021? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to authorize the district clerk to amend and publish a revised notice of annual meeting, budget referendum, and election as may be necessary to comply with any requirements set forth in an executive order of the governor of New York State and other federal or state legislation or applicable guidance related to the COVID-19 pandemic. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to adopt the resolution enabling the district to participate in the 2021-22 cooperative bids through Erie 2 Chautauqua Cattaraugus BOCES? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the declaration of participation of 2021-22, indicating the district's intention to be a member of the Erie Cat Teacher Center and to support its operation in accordance with Education Law 316. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the nomination of Sylvester Cleary as a candidate for an election to be held on April 20th, 2021, to serve as a board member for the Board of Cooperative Services, Secondary Supervisory District of Erie, Chautauqua, and Cattaraugus counties. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the nomination of Nancy Stock as a candidate for an election to be held on April 20th, 2021, to serve as a board member for the Board of Cooperative Services, Second Supervisory District of Erie, Chautauqua, and Cattaraugus counties. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the creation of a new Dungeons and Dragons Club for the 2021 school year?
I was going to ask, can I be an honorary dungeon? It seems like a lot of work to be a dungeon master. Oh my gosh, I'd totally be there. Let me know what it is.
Do you want to second it?
I absolutely second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the creation of a new Scholastic Esports Club for the 2021 school year? Any discussion?
This is amazing too. By the way, I was really happy to see this actually come to fruition because last year we talked about esports leagues and I'm just really excited for this as well as the Dungeons and Dragons. Club. So, we're branching out. It's cool. I love it. It's
Yeah.
really great.
Yeah.
So, thanks everybody.
All in favor?
Bye.
Any opposed? Under personnel, may I have a motion to approve the appointment of Fritz Schattauer as the high school Dungeons and Dragons Club advisor for the 2021 school year at a stipend of $433, a rate of pay pursuant to the district LSCTA agreement. The applicable stipends are based on an anticipated 9-week club season. Stipends will be prorated if the season is shortened or discontinued for reasons related to COVID-19 and in accordance with directives and guidance from state and local authorities.
He has to do it in German now.
Oh, that was the glitch.
Yeah, there it is. All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the appointment of Michael Drezick and Deanne Polian as the high school scholastic esports club for the 2021 school year at a stipend of $433, rate of pay pursuant to the district LSCTA agreement. The applicable stipends are based on an anticipated 9-week club season. Stipends will be prorated if the season is shortened or discontinued for reasons related to COVID-19 and in accordance with directives and guidance from the state and local authorities. Any discussion? We telling them they got to do it in German too?
No, he doesn't have to do it in German.
All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the high school advisor appointments for the 2021 school year? The applicable stipends are based on an anticipated 12-week club season. Stipends will be prorated if the season is shortened or discontinued for reasons related to COVID-19 and in accordance with directives and guidance from state and local authorities. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the coaching appointments for the 2021 Fall 2 sports season? The applicable stipends are based on an anticipated 8-week fall sports season. Stipends will be prorated if the season is shortened or discontinued for reasons related to COVID-19 and in accordance with directives and guidance from state and local authorities. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to accept with regret the resignation for the purpose of retirement of Terry Strohmeyer from her bus driver position effective April 1st, 2021. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to accept with regret the resignation for the purpose of retirement of Sharon Morris from her custodian position effective June 30th, 2021. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to accept with regret the resignation of Amanda Maj from her clerical typist position effective April 23rd, 2021. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? On to our discussion item, and first up is our Lake Shore High School virtual musical. I believe the discussion is to do an ad, correct? Which we normally do. So we can, I'm assuming everybody will be in agreement just to take it out of our account. Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, I can. I want to just say that the music department and all the people involved in the theater portion did a great job on putting the program together. It's so detailed.
You need to unmute.
There you go. There you go.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think they did a fabulous job putting their program together. It's absolutely the most creative thing I've seen, and I think it's going to be amazing to see it virtually. They did an excellent job putting it together. I just wanted to put that out there.
Is it going to be recorded to where we could watch it way back later, or is it?
I think the plan is to have one actual physical performance, but then they're going to they've got it scheduled and fixed the way they want to put it on virtually, for people who can see it.
Right.
Okay, next on our discussion items is budget. Mr. Pecos, I'm looking at the table for you, Dan.
So we're sort of in a holding pattern right now. We're waiting to see what the federal government is doing with the stimulus package, how much is coming to the district, and then also what the state is going to do with the federal stimulus money, if they're going to make a corresponding reduction in our state aid, which would be no help from the federal government at all then, or if there is a provision in there that the state has to basically leave the federal aid alone. I've seen some information, but nothing definite yet. So what we're probably going to do is ask for another budget committee meeting coming up here and talk about those options and see what happens once we get firm numbers and a decision on how that aid is going to work. Right now, our final budget cap came in at 4.08%, which is way over what I think we would go out and ask for approval on. I'm shooting for something under 2%. The 195 range I think is realistic. And in order to get down to that level, we have about $1.8 million budget gap right now. We haven't come to you with a list of cuts to make because we're waiting to see. That $1.8 million was based on the governor's state aid proposal. And with the passage of the federal stimulus bill, we're waiting to see if that will backfill some of that gap before we make any decisions. And if that turns out to be a 2-year revenue and we have more than enough to balance the budget, we would probably recommend that we only use what we need this year and leave some for next year, because it probably will be a multiple year problem. But that would be long range, fiscally responsible for us. But that's best case scenario that I'm hoping for. Right now, all programs are intact. We have not made reductions to staff or to various programs.
Thank you, Dan. Does anybody have any questions? No. Thank you. Next up is our student representative. We do not have Madeline here tonight, but we do have Abby Haynes with us tonight.
Hi, so student government is working on Mr. Lakeshore right now. We just wrote a proposal a few weeks ago. We're hoping that gets approved for June 10th. And then the senior class is working on prom, which is June 11th. And I think all the students are really excited we're actually able to do stuff at the end of the year, hoping to, and that's about it right now.
Thanks for filling in.
Yes, thank you, Abby. Thanks for being here. Well, we're hopeful that you guys are going to be able to get to do more soon, very soon. Board of Education committee reports. Has anybody met?
Business Academy met just prior to our meeting. Our fundraiser is well underway. As everyone knows, we can't do a 3-on-3 basketball tournament this year. So we did some outside of the box thinking. We're doing a couple of raffles that kicked off this week. And I think we're off to a really good start. So we have 2 different raffles. One is Cash Madness, where you pay $50 for a ticket. We sold a limited number of spots. And then we do a drawing every Friday for 4 Fridays for $50 a piece. So a chance to win your money back. And then there's a grand prize of $1,000 at the end. We do still have tickets available if anyone is interested. And then there's also a Facebook raffle. If you are on Facebook and you are not part of the group, search for the group. It's the Lakeshore Academy of Business and Finance COVID style Super Sweet 16 raffle or something like that. We're on the second day of that. We sold all the spots. We have some really great items. Today was a Ring camera. Yesterday was an Amazon Alexa. We have a 65-inch TV. We have laptops. We have the summer barbecue package. We have all kinds of prizes. And the spots vary depending on the price. So anywhere from $5 up to $20 and above. But if you are on Facebook and you haven't joined the group, please do. Because the bigger the group, you never play basketball again. We'll see how it goes. If you don't have Facebook, you can't do it directly, but what you could do is like what I did. You can force your family members to join and then just ask them like, what's the prize today? Can you put me down for spot number 3? That's how I'd recommend you do it, Christine.
Okay, thank you, Kathleen. Anybody else meet? Nope. Okay. ECASB? Anyone?
I mean, I can go again.
Meeting Thursday. I was not at the last one.
We do. Ledge team meets Thursday, and I think everybody knows that Dr. Jill O'Malley has moved on from ECASB. She got elected to a position that was a little bit of a conflict for her. So we'll be reorganizing positions a little bit and looking to hire someone to replace her.
Just also. Okay, for those, I don't know if you saw that, the last on board that Kathleen was featured in the on board was a really nice feature that, you know, as an advocate, you know, with the legislator. So it was well done. So congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
All right. Anything else, ECSB? Board member roundtable?
Yes, I do. And if you all recall, I wasn't here last month. I had to attend virtually, so get comfortable because I've been accumulating things for a while. No, I just, so it's legislative season. Normally we have our Capitol Conference in the beginning of February. We obviously didn't have CapCon this year because of the pandemic. So we've been doing meetings virtually. So even though we, ECASB as a group, we haven't met with our representatives yet that represent us here in our district. There are some pretty common themes in all the meetings, and I'll just go through a couple of the points here. So there is a bill to allow districts to form a special ed reserve. You know, for a rainy day. Dan and I had talked about this a little bit, and he was a proponent of it. For those times where you have special ed expenses that you weren't expecting. And as we know, sometimes those costs can add up. So there are bills in both the Senate and the Assembly that would allow districts to do that. They're both in committee right now. We don't really think there'll be much movement on that until after the budget is passed, but we're hopeful after that those will move forward. I don't know if anybody has had a chance to look at the one house budgets that have come out of the Senate and the Assembly. A couple of good pieces of news in there. One, both houses have once again rejected the consolidation of expense-based aids, which was pretty universally called for. The governor in his executive budget had proposed the elimination of paying prior year aid claims altogether. Both houses have rejected that. There seems like there is going to be movement on increasing the 4% cap on undesignated fund balance limit that we have. And universally, to Dan's point earlier, we have really been hitting the point hard that I think it's $9 billion is coming to New York State through federal stimulus just for education. And we are really driving the point home that there can't be passed through in Albany. You know, there can't be that adjustment. There can't be that gap elimination where X amount of dollars gets added from federal stimulus, but then there's a corresponding reduction in our state aid. So it ends up being a wash. You know, we're really, there are conversations kind of happening behind the scenes between some of our educators and some of our legislators on what do districts need to do to be able to safely reopen. We don't know what, you know, to reopen bringing students in 4 or 5 days a week. We don't know whether or not that will happen, right? We have guidance to deal with. If the guidance doesn't change, only so much can change. But we are really hammering home that there are going to be a lot of costs associated with any kind of you know, 4 or 5 day a week reopening if we're able to do that. We need financial support for that. You know, we have students in crisis the same way we did before the pandemic. We need funds to associate, or, you know, funds to support that. So we are really universally getting the message across. We need the money that is coming from federal stimulus in order to support our students. So fingers crossed for a successful budget reconciliation.
Kathleen, I have a question. Is all of that federal stimulus slated for, is it all public school or is it public and private? Do you know?
That I don't know off the top of my head. Jen, I don't know if Dan knows the answer to that. I just know $9 billion is earmarked for education, and some of that is earmarked for I don't know the term, but it's like, it's catch up learning gap type of thing.
Kathleen, one other thing that I saw, that there was an increase, a proposed increase in foundation aid of at least 2% for every district, and some more. And then also on the prior year aid claims, there was a provision that if there was a clawback of an overpayment of aid to any district, that money would have to be applied to the prior year aid claims that the state owed districts, in an effort to start catching those up. So those were two important pieces that would be neat if those made it through too.
You know, one more thing I just want to say that, you know, when we start to talk about if guidance were to change, if circumstances were to change to allow districts to bring students in more, one of the things we've been saying again in every meeting is our staff, our faculty needs easier access to vaccinations. You know, I applaud the state for including as many groups as they are for eligibility, but we all know, everyone knows, if you've tried to get a vaccine appointment, it's like trying to get like concert tickets to the most wanted concert of the decade. It's really challenging. And that's something we've told them we could really use help and support with, is making it a little bit easier to get our faculty vaccinated is just one piece to that.
All right. I actually have one thing. I was invited 2 weeks ago to read, and remind me, was it Red Cross? What was the? Yeah, okay, I'm going to apologize because I don't remember exactly what it was for, but I was invited to read to a first grade classroom, which was when my kids were little, I used to go and read almost weekly. So it was really, really nice. I read for Mrs. Addison's class. It was the first time that I read on Zoom, but it was really, really nice to be invited, and I really enjoyed doing that with the kids. Anybody have anything else? All right. Calendar items. We got a few things. Anybody see anything that they would like to add? No. All right.
Read Across America.
Read Across America. I don't know where I got Red Cross from. No idea. Yes, it was really, really nice though to be asked, to be thought of. I really very much appreciated it.
When I still worked sort of part-time when my kids were real small, and I remember when Grace was in, now Mrs. Donovan, but Miss Eagle's kindergarten class, then I loved it. I got so much enjoyment.
Yeah. All right, I guess we will move on to our superintendent's report.
Great, thank you. A lot to report today. Our Ball for Bucks, as you know, our campaign is going on, and I was talking with Tony George, and we're already past our $10,000 goal. At the latest count, we were up to $11,034. As you know, Ball for Bucks is a Lakeshore program that kind of started through Tony George and supported his sister who had cancer. So it's just awesome that Lakeshore can be at the front of this fundraiser, and it's still continuing as of today. So that's awesome. The Soaring Eagle virtual 5K race benefit for the class of 2027 gets underway this Sunday. You're likely to see participants in their Soaring Eagle t-shirts running and walking past places all around town. So if you see them, make sure you cheer them on. We also have our Family Support Center Family Walk on Saturday, April 17th. This virtual event, participants may also walk with their families and or participate in a scavenger hunt for painted rocks at LSCSD playgrounds and the playground at the Sailor Building. Chevetta's Chicken Dinners will be available to pre-order, and there will be a balloon artist at the middle school sculpture garden between 11 and 1 on that day. So you can register through the Facebook page. We already talked about the 3-on-3 basketball tournament. We already talked about esports, and Kathleen talked about the Assembly 1 and the Senate 1 House analysis. And the great thing is that the Assembly and the Senate is making sure that school districts should get that money without having to have any of it taken back by the state. So that definitely needs to happen. Driver's ed is moving forward. We have plans to provide driver's ed for students in July. The current guidance allows for classroom instruction to take place following our current in-person instruction protocols, so we can provide instruction in person or virtually. For more information, people in the community can call Christine Starks at 926-2210. There's also something in there now is a new regulation where parents can actually drive with their students and they report back to the instructors, and they're allowed to use that time, because we have to really limit, or maybe not at all, be able to have students in cars with our instructors, because with social distancing right now, you don't want to have a child alone in a car with somebody who's not their parent. So right now, there's some modifications that it will allow us to do that, and parents will still be able to receive the insurance discount, which is one of the great benefits of having the driver ed program. Athletics, JV and varsity boys and girls basketball are ending this Friday. Modified basketball is ending next week on the 26th. Fall sports begin on Monday, the 22nd, with modified and varsity football, JV and varsity volleyball. Modified boys and girls volleyball is going to start on March 29th because basketball is still going on modified until the 26th. Unified basketball practice is going to start on May 3rd. We have our coaches, Mrs. Ballou and Mr. Bartoletti, I always say his name wrong, that are going to coach again this year, so that's awesome. Our Special Olympics, the date has yet to be determined. We're thinking it's going to be in June at some time, but Devin, Mrs. Asboth, is going to be running the Special Olympics for us again this year. Just want to talk a little bit about planning for an increase of in-person instruction. Mrs. Bergler has met with groups of parents and teachers over the past 2 weeks to discuss what increasing days in person would look like and the factors to be considered. One of the major obstacles for us to return to a full-time in-person instructional model is social distancing requirements. In New York State, the prevailing guidance still requires 6 feet of social distancing, including on school buses. We have heard that this guidance may change, but right now, we do not have the space to accommodate all of our students with 6 feet of social distancing. The administrative team, along with teacher representatives, have been engaged in discussions to plan for the possibility of increasing in-person learning based on the change in distancing requirements. There are many factors to consider, such as cafeteria configuration, class sizes in terms of the space, even at 3 feet, use of other rooms or areas in buildings that we might be able to use for overflow rooms if needed, the implementation or the possibility of pivoting back to remote depending upon quarantining issues, because as of right now, the quarantine would still be 6 feet and closer for more than 10 minutes. So if it does go to 3 feet, we don't know if that's going to change in terms of close contacts. So that could be something that we would have to think about and plan for in case that if we had to close a room or if we had to close a building, or just depends upon how that happens and who is testing positive and who's not testing positive. Or if we become a red or an orange zone again, where we have to start testing in orange and even in red. So we don't really know what's going to happen with that yet. We currently have 185 students district-wide that are still full remote. So we have to make sure that we're providing instruction for those students that are still going to be remote. So we can't forget about those students that are home on remote instruction. We just want the board and the community to know that we're exploring all the possibilities we can to increase the amount of time that we can have students in the building, because we all want them back. We miss them. I know they miss us. It's really kind of neat when you see kids come in, even the high school kids, on the 2 days that they're here, and then you don't see them on Thursday and Friday. So it's strange for us too. So if we're able to do that safely and along with the guidance, we'll do whatever we can to be able to make that happen as soon as that's possible. But the big thing that we're really thinking about and worrying about is what the buses are going to look like. You know, and if more parents choose to drive, how more congested is Route 5 going to be at the middle school if we have more parents dropping their kids off at the middle school. So just want to let you know, those are the things that we're thinking about, and it's in the front of our mind every day when we come to work.
Also, are you, I'm sure you have, but mentioning at least the idea of possibly using shields?
Sure. So, right. So one of the things we've already gotten a price for the shields that we would have to have on all the desks and areas, and it's something like $36,000 or $37,000 to purchase enough shields to be at the desk of every student in the district.
And also, what about cleaning them as the day goes
Right.
on?
Well, in
I'm
terms
sure
of,
you're thinking of that.
no, yeah, we are thinking about that. The masks are going to be required all day long, to the greatest extent possible. So when you think about cleaning the surface, and if you're sitting at your desk, with your mask on, chances are that, the surface itself should be okay. But a lot of teachers have talked about, helping out with that in between, kind of quick wiping down in between classes. So that the shield. So that's kind of what we're thinking about, how we would do that to make sure that it was safe.
So
And
let's
of
say,
course,
let's say in the middle school or high school, are the students carrying these shields around?
No, we haven't planned on the students carrying the shields around, only because we're just thinking about, kids walking around with them. And and then what do you do with them at the end of the day? Maybe they can go back to homeroom. So it's something that we're thinking about.
Yeah, I can't see would that be feasible at all.
Well, and it just might be, they don't really fold as nice as you think they do. So the more that you try to fold them and unfold them, they become weaker,
Right.
and they could crack and be unusable, and then we'd have to purchase even more. So that is something that we're thinking about.
Charlie, this kind of makes me think about, because we had this discussion about desks, before we even moved to the hybrid model. And that's kind of why some teachers were doing green and white desks and things like that. But that sounds like a lot of work, the wiping, down of shields in between classes. Is that something that, how is that going to be realistically achievable, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Well, that's actually the conversations that we're having in terms of how we can make that happen. And the administrators are talking with the faculty, and Melissa's having meetings, Mrs. Bergler's having meetings with them too, in terms of, what to do, and for that particular case, in terms of cleaning, and also inventory in the room, things that you have, how many kids can you realistically fit in at 3 feet? What does 3 feet look like? Is it head to head 3 feet, or is it the edge of the desk to the other edge of the desk 3 feet? So there's still a lot of unknowns. So just like what happened before July, we were trying to build that ship in the air, and we're still kind of doing that now. But I think we're better prepared to be able to do that. It's just going to take a little bit of more direct guidance in terms of what we can and what we can't do.
Well, some schools that use the shields, they're telling us that that's not even an issue, cleaning them.
Yeah.
I mean, we're wearing masks. They're not like, oh, you guys are not touching them all over the place. COVID's not going to jump off there onto you. So that's becoming more of a non-thing for me personally. When we bring up shields, I kind of give that example. So that helps alleviate some of my thinking around that anyway.
Sure. And to Charlie's point, we need more direct guidance to know what we're going to have to do and what we don't have to do.
Right. And that's why I said having your face mask on, it's stopping that aerosol from leaving you onto a surface. And I know when COVID was first, in the realm, people were worried about touch surfaces and those kinds of things. And they've really kind of shown that it really has to be aerosol, and it has to be like, I don't want to say the mucus word, but
The droplets.
Yeah.
Touch it here, and then you gotta touch it here. So, I mean, yes, and I've been reading a lot about
Melissa?
Onondaga County, and then some other schools that were referenced down in Orange County and New York City, just to see what's on their radar, and very similar things. It's, we're all planning for the same thing of less distance, and the barriers don't seem to be an obstacle in any way. It's just how many we're gonna get. And then the windows and doors to be open, because now we're ready to spring, so just layer up. And a lot of a lot of ventilation, and then John is really, we have the best ventilation that you can have. So I think we're good with a lot of things.
I have a question. Are the shields in play even at 3 feet?
We don't think we
Well,
know
in
yet.
United County, when they went and did their own stuff, it was 3 feet and barriers.
Mhm.
So we're just assuming something like that might come down. Because they do, I mean, I feel like they think distancing is the science around this, right? Stay away from each other, and that will help us get more kids in a room. But I don't know.
Is that it,
That's,
Charlie?
sorry, that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Charlie.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Yeah, I had, last Monday, I just couldn't work it in, but at least I was able to jump in on my phone. So at least I could at least hear what was going on. And I have to say, Melissa has done a great job providing a way for parents to have a line of communication, to ask their questions, air their concerns, you know, what they feel their needs are. And this was this week 3 or week 4? This is week 4. And I have to say, she's done this 3 times a day, every Monday, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 7 o'clock. She's made herself available. And all 3 of the meetings yesterday really were pretty short. I mean, I really think that we have given as much information as we have to give right now. I think the parents understand our position. They've all asked really good questions, but I think we've gotten to a point that at least they understand where we are, what we're waiting for, and where we're going to go from here when we get more information. So Melissa, thank you for taking the time to do that. And I think it was really reassuring to a lot of our parents to have that. She also has all their emails. So as she gets information or update, she's able to shoot an email out to them just to let them know what's going on so that they, you know, feel like they're in the loop.
Melissa, are there, you know, common themes? So like, are there some of the same questions that you keep getting like over and over again, or are the questions pretty
Well,
diverse?
new people are joining, so sometimes we repeat. Our format has been, we start with anything that we've learned since the last time we talked. Like sometimes they'll ask a question and I'll say, I'll look into that. So I'll report back what I found out. And then they comment or ask questions around that. So yesterday, even last night, it was just, thank you for the information. There were no further questions. And then there were 2 new people on yesterday who just said, could you tell us the plan of what it would look like for 4 days? So we just repeated that. So we're really down to not repeating too much.
How many people are showing up for these meetings? Is it a good turnout still?
Actually, it's dwindling a little. It might just be because we have sports now and everything else going on. A lot of people have chauffeur duties in the evening. So I don't know if it's that or if it's just they feel comfortable and they know that we're moving along and doing the best that we can. I do think everybody gets a chance to talk in our community too. So if you miss one, they talk to each other and stuff. So yesterday was the lowest turnout. I want to say probably fewer than 20 total for the 3.
Okay.
But there's, you know, usually the 12 o'clock is between 8 and 12. The 2 o'clock is the 3 or 4. And then the night is usually over 20, but it's gotten lower. So we'll see.
But like you said, that might be a good thing because people might be getting the answers that they need and just kind of stepping back a bit. So that's great. Thank you.
Is there a pretty clear understanding, you think, Melissa, of why parents understanding that it will likely be a 4-day week with Mondays staying remote only?
Yeah, we have talked about 4 days. The teacher and administrative committee talked about Mondays and the value of that. And so our aim is 4 days. So that's the only conversation we're having right now because we're hoping we'll get that guidance.
And I do think that it has dwindled some too, because I think their questions and concerns have been answered. And And that certainly doesn't mean that they're happy.
Sure.
We all know, they're not happy. They want their kids back in school. We want their kids back in school, but at least they understand where we are, where we're headed, that we do have a plan if they change the guidance, that we can relatively quickly, Melissa is gearing toward a two-week turnaround if they change those guidelines, to be able to have everything into place. We're doing as much as we can now to prepare for that. So when they do change that, the ball is already rolling. So I do think it's dwindled down just because I think their questions and concerns have been answered, and they know we're kind of in a holding pattern right now, waiting for further guidance.
Right.
Does anybody have any other questions on that? Okay. All righty. So in-person meetings with the ability for visitors who do not wish to attend will now recognize unscheduled visitors who would like to address the board. Similar to our regular meetings, the board may not respond to comments or questions at this time, as it is not intended to be a question and answer period. This portion of the agenda is a courtesy to the community, so they have the opportunity to bring matters to the board's attention. The board recognizes that some members of the community do not wish to attend in person due to COVID concerns. Therefore, we requested that members of the community submit any comments or questions in advance to an email address that we set up to receive public comment. We did not receive any emails for tonight's public comment. So with that being said, may I have a motion to go into an executive session for the purpose of discussing the employment history of particular individuals, collective negotiations, and pending litigation matters. No action will be taken during executive session.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.